there, and welcome to Cover to Cover, episode 5. We are, 2.5 months into this. By the way, I'm only wearing this for a second to show you that it's super not hard. I'm at home right now, so I don't have to wear one, but you know, you can hear me too, so there is that. So do that. I work as a reporter, so I have to go out in public a lot. I've also seen a lot of people sick, so I say this with love. Don't get sick. Anyways, tonight we're going to be talking about a new game. We're talking about Masks, A New Generation, and we're going to be talking about some of my favorite things, which is theater and comedy, with a friend of mine who is, I hear, good at both of those things, I guess.
What?
Yeah. Say hi, Dillon.
Hi, Dillon.
This is
That's
Dillon
a dad
Davis.
joke.
We've known
I
each
got
other since we were kids on a t-ball team.
Literally
We
forever.
studied theater together, have done some awful plays together, and some great
We-
plays together.
We've done good and bad work. We are
Yeah.
truly human in every sense of the word.
Yeah. I realized that up to this point, I'm 5 episodes deep in this. I've literally just had my friends on, which I personally love. But you know,
That's what you do, right?
Hopefully soon we're going to get to that point where I can get people that I haven't known for 10 years.
Right.
But I just happen to have a lot of talented, really smart friends who are doing cool things, so it makes sense to have them on. I mean, I've had Mark
Come
Connell, Ruben Kendall,
Oh,
Cody Jarman.
you had Ruben. Oh
Yeah.
my God, you got Ruben and Cody.
Yeah.
Man.
So
Oh yeah. Also Mark. Mark's fine, I guess.
So Mark and I talked about a game called Zweihander, which is a grimdark game.
Zweihander.
Uh,
Grimdark. Okay, what
yeah.
does that mean?
So that just means that it purposefully tries to be like kind of dark and depressing fantasy. Like
Okay.
it goes for that Middle Ages, like gangrene is actually more dangerous than monsters feel.
Okay, all right. So it's got an element of like realism to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
cool. Cool beans.
And then Ruben and I talked about his own creation. He has a Patreon. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, that's right.
He is creating a monster manual for D&D 5e that is entirely plants. It is a herbarium. And we looked at one in particular.
Okay, first, there is nothing more Ruben than the sentence you just said.
I demanded that he put a glossary in the back because I don't understand his fancy-ass science terms.
I don't either. I look and am appreciative because I know the intelligence it takes to remember all of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what he's saying.
I'm just like, I know pseudopod. I know that one.
Well, I know sugar snap peas. I know russet potato. Big fan of a rutabaga. Those are good. Turnips. What are those in the glossary, Ruben?
I don't know.
Ruben, I need you to tell me.
So we talked about that, and with Ruben, we also talked about Patreon and how you can start making your own content, and why maybe DM's Guild is not the best place to put your content because they take a huge percentage and they control the rights in a lot of ways when you put it there.
Wait, hold on. Casey, are you telling me? Now, hold on. I want to make sure I heard this right. That a name brand place where people have control over the content, if you put up your own content, that they might grift you a little? Are you telling me that? Are you saying those words? That doesn't sound right.
I don't want to be that guy, but I know this has been a big talk on Twitter for like a week. I talked about it like 3 months ago. I'm just saying, you know. Then we had Cody, and we talked about Tolkien and some of the problematic, somewhat racist history of fantasy in general.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to own up to that a little bit as guys who have received master's degrees and studied a lot of fantasy lit.
You kind of have to realize how lily white a lot of Tolkien and Lewis, and all those guys we love. It's oh gosh, C.S. Lewis and his treatment of the followers of Tash alone, the Calormen.
It's something you just have to be really like. I still love those authors in a lot of ways.
So do I. Of course.
You can't love them and pretend like those problems don't exist.
No, especially once you know they exist.
Yeah.
like once you learn it, you have to own it on some level, or you're I don't know, like blindly participating in something bad, like saying that's not talking about it is somehow giving it permission to be okay, I think. So I think you have to own that.
Yeah.
Especially, you know.
The most recent episode, 2 weeks ago, I was on with Linda Detweiler, a good friend of mine who you don't know her, Dylan. She's a teacher at Hopkinsville, or in Kentucky. I won't actually say what school. I think she would prefer that.
Yeah, probably.
She started a very successful after-school gaming club there. They play Magic and D&D and other games. She now, Dylan, you will appreciate this. The only club in their school that's larger is the Booster Club.
You know what? Fucking A, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Get them, nerds. Get them, nerds.
They have over 50 people in a school of 240 or something.
I hope they're all the Joe Manganiello type nerds too.
Like, she said they're not all nerds. She said like a lot of the football team has to come in there for like detention and then they'll stay.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Is like nerd is not the same anymore,
no, not
right?
At all.
Like I would say even when we were in high school, nerd meant something. It was shifting then, but it did not mean the same thing it means now.
We were able to be theater kids, and it probably helped a little more than it hurt our social standing.
Yeah, actually, without theater, I would have had nothing.
And that's why I think you would really like that episode, Dylan, because you and I definitely know the benefit of after-school programs like that.
Yes, 100%.
Actually,
involved.
Mr. Klein followed me on that stream, who's our former high school theater teacher. He's been doing some gaming with his kids on Fortnite.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I could see him really having fun in Fortnite. I really could.
But,
anyway. Hey, Mr. Klein, if you're watching tonight, I miss you. I think about you sometimes.
Thank you for... I talked with him recently. We're gonna hang out or something, I think.
Should have him on.
Some theater stuff. Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Maybe I will.
Right? He's a fun convo.
Yeah. Future stream I'm going to have. I have my friend Riley Foster, who is in the military. He's currently deployed in Afghanistan. If you happen to see this stream, Riley, I hope you're doing all right, and can't wait for you to get back so we can keep our campaign going. In the meantime,
stay safe, bud.
Riley is hopefully going to be calling in from Afghanistan, and we're going to do a stream talking about the benefits that these kind of games in the tabletop community can have for soldiers while deployed, especially in places with possibly low internet and low access to technology. You don't need tech for these games. We'll also have the owner and proprietor of Marvin's Army Gaming on that one, who is himself a veteran and a big fan of Operation Supply Drop, which I may try to figure out how we can make that a charity stream for Operation Supply Drop. But I'll have to contact them. We didn't raise much money, really any money, for Magic Kids the other week.
Oh no!
So we're gonna do that charity stream again soon. It's fair. I couldn't figure out how to do the charity mechanisms on this site, so I just put up my PayPal link and was like, put it there and mark it Magic Kids, and I'll collect it for the donation because I have cards to donate as well. And that seems shady, so I don't blame you guys. I understand. That seemed shady. I'll figure out how to do it correctly so that the money never touches me personally, but we can still track how much we actually raise.
And on that same note, just so I'm, completely transparent, I'm gonna try not to burp directly into the microphone tonight. Just that's my accountability. I'm gonna do.
They have to pay bits they have to pay or donate money to the channel to get you to burp in. That's one of the that's one of the
I'm gonna start an OnlyFans.
If you donate $2 to the channel, Dylan will belch one letter of the alphabet, and if we get to Z, then I'll give away a copy of Masks: A New Generation.
Yes, absolutely. That's gonna happen. So line up, grab your kids and your money. I don't know why you need your kids, but bring them.
They spend all the money on Fortnite. I'm just saying, loot boxes. We need to figure out a way to get loot boxes on this show. That's what I really need.
It shouldn't be too hard.
I don't
we can
know what I'm gonna put in the loot boxes. I got a pencil.
What are we gonna put in the loot box? Like an old glove?
My own t-shirts.
Your own t-shirts.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose all your t-shirts. Your graphic tee collection's gonna shrink considerably. I'll put an old pair of workout shoes. I'm sure somebody can use a size 13.
I'll start with Eric's Iron Maiden shirt that I still have.
You still
I think I do. I may have given it back. I'll have to look later now.
Yo, does Eric check this stream out?
I don't know. I've been meaning to talk with him. We've played D&D and Magic some together.
Oh man, that's cool. I have not seen him in close to 6 years, and he's family. Yeah. I did talk to him the other week about some cool stuff he's doing in his life, and it was amicable, but like, yeah, man, talk about somebody I miss. Oh, yeah, good man. Dude.
This is our first episode of Cover to Cover in my new office, and I'm super excited about new office. That. Yeah. Now, Dylan, we bought a house recently.
I will warn you, I can't see you.
So, if you want to open the Twitch stream and just mute it, and then you can see me. Go to KCT90 or twitch.tv/KCT92.
Twitch. Hold on, one more time.
Twitch.tv/KCT.
Twitch.
Here, I'll send you a link.
TV/KC.
And I'll send you a link too.
Okay.
I'll put it in the Facebook chat that we have going.
Oh, thanks. All right, I'll open that back up.
And if you want this, you're already here, so you don't need it. But if you want to turn into future episodes, just follow me, and I'll be on the side of your Twitch screen. Also, I only need 8 or 9 followers right now to hit affiliate, so follow me.
Dude, guys, follow him. Guys, follow him. What are you doing? Stop looking at our faces and follow him.
You can do both. It's right underneath Dylan's chin. So the purple button, right under the scruff.
Under my Thanos.
Yeah, but Megan and I bought a house recently, and the basement had a concrete floor, but that was it. So I've done all the walls, and I recently just finished painting and hung some art. But I've been hanging drywall and adding outlets, and Dad and I are building some bookshelves and like a nice cabinet. So I'm gonna have like all my books behind me as a background when I stream.
That is gonna look very professory. I'm
so excited. Wait. Yeah, I'm definitely going for community college professor. Just
which is a different vibe altogether.
It's a little sadder.
It's less tweed, more Dickies. You know what I mean?
Corduroy.
It's got a little, off-brand tweed. It's just tweed. It's literally tweed.
Argyle and a sense of self-importance. That's what it is.
But you get mad at people when they say the word tenure. Is what happens. People when they say the word tenure.
Speaking of funny men,
Dylan, here we go.
Tell me about yourself. Introduce yourself. To our currently one viewer.
Our one viewer, wow.
Yeah, right now, it'll build up. It'll build up.
You're going to get to know me real well, one person, which is how I do best. My name is Dillon Davis. I graduated with a degree in theater, and I actually work in a theater as the shop scenic and properties coordinator is my official title. But that's not my dream. My dream is to be a performer and a comedian. I am involved in many improv troupes. My main form of comedy, I'd say, would be improv. I co-host 2 podcasts that are available on all podcast platforms, Youth Group Survivor Support Group and Mighty Nice People. You can check those out if you want. They're fun time. We kind of deal with we just try to be as funny as possible while also dealing with reality, so that sort of thing.
I particularly enjoy Youth Group Survivor Support Group.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear
myself that. Having grown up in a very Southern Baptist church, and having dated the song leader's daughter for the whole time I was there, I had quite the youth group experience. It was interesting. But Dylan and them have way more.
We do, man.
Dylan has family members that are some great character research for religious folks.
If you want to really get into the dichotomy and the brain inner workings of like cult leaders, you come talk to me. I'll give you a rundown on what it's like to grow up in a cult and not realize it until you're almost 30.
So, which name of Satan will your like great aunt give you for being on a tabletop gaming /D&D pamphlet?
I'm going Belial.
Belial.
B-E-L-I.
That's the one on the pamphlet.
I'll probably go with Belial.
The black and white. That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one in the chicked tract that we all get handed when they're like, "You like comic books? Read this." Like that's the kind of.
I have to show you. Have you run into the Bible, the manga Bible yet?
Yeah, man, I have read the manga Bible back when I was like, God, I need a comic book, and I'm also in church, so can I have this? My dad was like, I don't know, kind of looks. This is his saying, not mine. I want to I don't know. It looks like it's from Japan, and as we all know, only bad things are from Japan. That's
not really. Not
really. I have to really preface, I don't think that.
This is the point where I make my weekly plug of go check out the Asians Represent podcast for someone who does this better than me.
Way better.
Have you seen them?
So many. No, I haven't, but I trust you.
Oh, check them out. They're really cool. Daniel Kwan is a working archaeologist as well as a tabletop game designer, and he knows his culture science. It's really cool. And DM Steve is the other member, and I think he has an astronomy degree. I think he's he studies stars. I think I may be completely wrong.
That's impressive. Wow.
But their book is one I really want to do on this stream sometime. It'll be one of my rare breaks into D&D, Unbreakable, which is a collection of Asian-inspired stories from Vietnam and Korea and Japan and China and the Philippines. That's actually true to those cultures and written by people from those cultures.
That's really neat.
Yeah. It's a really good book, and it's one where I will break my no D&D books rule.
That's cool. I need to check that stuff out for sure.
Yeah, it's got some dope art in it too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I also got my use of the word dope out.
For those of you keeping count at home, that's 1, and that's all you're gonna get. So eat it up, squirrel it away for the winter, hibernate with it.
So podcasts, you do theater and improv in Nashville?
Theater and improv in Nashville, stand-up in Murfreesboro, sometimes in Nashville.
Yeah. You're also a big fan of comic books, like you just said.
Yeah,
which is
huge fan.
One of the reasons I chose this particular book for us to look at tonight.
Yeah.
Because it is a heavily comic book inspired game. And there's lots of these superhero games, but I think this is the one that's most truly like a love letter to comic book fans.
As I was thumbing through it, I really got the sense that the author or collection of authors really dug, especially what the mid to late 90s people were doing with teenage groups of heroes, which is my wheelhouse. That is what I love as far as comic books. I have always loved the Teen Titans, and I've always loved New Mutants.
And that's why
big fan of Injustice.
I was really between this one and Icons, which is very DC heroes inspired. Yeah. And that one's kind of got that Gods Amongst Men feel. But I feel like it's almost more inspired by the cartoons, and that's why I didn't pick that one. In a way, in a weird way, it's got more of the high drama cartoon / film feel. And I didn't want to go that direction. I wanted something that felt like a comic book, where you feel like you're playing a comic book character.
And this definitely does. Everything I'm reading, it feels very serialized, which is great for anything comic book based. You want it to be and digest, which is great for tabletop gaming too, right? You want to have something to come back week to week. You want to, in my head, this is perfect because you can always leave it on a cliffhanger.
It's
which
also
most comic book issues are going to do.
It's also why when we talked about this will probably be the next game we stream on Friday Night Playtest. Nice. For a short campaign, and I invited Dylan for that. If you're interested in running the game, Dylan, let me know because I kind of want to play.
You kind of want to play, okay?
Yeah, and I think you'll be interested. I think you could write a really cool story for superhero teenagers.
Oh, definitely. I've got a lot of. You know what? I'll take a look at it this week, and I'll see. Yeah. See if I can come up with something. See if I'm comfortable. Yeah. I'll let you know.
If you're not, also, by the way, don't try to force. A little bit of gaming advice: don't try to force players in your group to GM if they are not comfortable with it. That can be really uncomfortable for a lot of people trying to come up with a story and also feeling like they have to be in charge and facilitate things. That is an acquired skill that you kind of have to work on.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm always open to my players wanting to run a game, and I let them know that they're welcome to, but I'll never force them to. I am forever DM a lot of the time, because I'm very comfortable with it. I love that part.
That's
I love
great.
making stories and making worlds. Some people just want to play. Some people just want to kind of sit back and be a passive character and hear the cool story.
Which is totally fair. If you just want to be involved, there's nothing wrong with getting swept up in the story. Like, you don't have to be in charge. That can be terrifying for people. I don't want to do that to anybody.
This game also, the other big reason I chose this game for us tonight, Dylan, is while it's true of all tabletop gaming, this one in particular benefits from a strong understanding of, or having an understanding of, rules for improv comedies, particularly yes and. That's good to know for any role-playing game, but this one in particular is putting your characters in a place where they're interacting with one another on a very personal level.
Yes.
It also is very good for learning how to read the room and understanding your partner in a scene's boundaries and how far to push. On top of that,
they also, well, not on top of, in addition to, there's a very important improv rule that a lot of beginning improvisers don't pick up on, which is the concept of reacting to things. They talk a lot about, in the beginning, talking about action being the primary thing you want to be involved in this game. And they're saying maybe the action is to have a character moment where you do have a discussion about your relationships. But the real thing that's going to move the story forward is making a decision instead of passively letting things happen to you, which is a big improv rule that, you know I struggle with in your effort to be nice and to try to add. It's hard for nicer people to do improv because you want to be like, hey, okay, all your ideas are good, but you never add on to it. You're never adding information for people. So when I read that, I was like, oh, this is a really improv friendly rule. When you're talking about information, is like be thinking about what your character would do and say and let it happen and then react to it.
I think the reverse, this would be a great game. If I was in an improv troupe, I would encourage my co-players to like play some of these games together, especially since it's long form improv, and that's so many people's weakness.
Well, everybody when they start normally is introduced to the short form style, which is the games, which the games are great and they're really good for audiences. And I will say it takes a great deal of training to just let yourself go. Like if you bog yourself down with the rules about long form, gosh, this is such a discussion that we're having currently.
It's a completely other thing, but in short,
it's not a bad idea. You get involved in a longer story and you have to decide what's good for the story, what's bad, that sort of thing.
Let's take a look at, or let's go over some of the rules of improv that we know. And to kind of clarify, again, Dylan has done a lot of improv. We also both had a bit of a formal education at the University of Tennessee at Martin, both in acting, but also in improv specifically, from Melanie Taylor Hollis, not so much Ken Zimmerman, and Kevin Schell. Great teachers, each very different. But we got to learn a lot about this kind of stuff and performed a lot.
We did. We got a lot of stage time, and it was always good to... It was very encouraging, encouraging environment, which is what you want when you're doing improv.
If you're interested in that world, by the way, I will tweet some books out that we found during that time that are fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
There's one in particular I'm trying to remember with the black cover with the colorful letters.
Is it Impro? Oh, is it Truth in Comedy?
Maybe.
Or Impro, which is Keith Johnstone.
I think it's that one.
He was a British improvisation teacher who really believed in the organic construction of play. Like he was really about just doing stuff. It didn't matter if there was plot or anything like that. He was just more interested in being present on stage. That was his whole thing.
Yeah. One thing while we get into the kind of like the core tenets of like improv as a thing, Who would you say, like, if we were to look at someone as like an example of how it's done? Do you have anyone in mind?
The best improviser you can look at today, in my opinion, let's see. I have two in mind.
I find Hugh Laurie to be particularly talented.
Who?
Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry were particularly talented back in the day.
They were and are very talented improvisers. Modern, you're looking at your Ben Schwartz and Thomas Middleditches. They are the most organically natural talents. They've also worked incredibly hard, and it looks effortless. If you see either one of them doing anything, you can look up Thomas Middleditch doing improvised Shakespeare, and you would have thought Shakespeare wrote the show. It's in verse. Like, they rehearse improv in iambic pentameter, so they learn the speech, and it is wild. It is cool. And Ben Schwartz is another one. Everything out of his mouth is just kind of like a bap bap bap. Another one, Lauren Lapkus. She is incredible, and anything she's in, she's just fun to watch. I think she's really, really good.
Another name, and he's more TV, and he doesn't really participate in it so much. But right. I think low-key super talented in improv is Stephen Colbert.
Yes, Stephen Colbert is. He has a strong background, Second City. So he's had the training, and you can tell in interviews he's such a generous listener, and that's such a valuable skill in improv.
If you ever get the chance to see Second City in Chicago, by the way, do it. So good.
I'd love to. That would be great.
It's also surprisingly affordable.
Yeah. Let's see. Do I know anybody else? I mean, I don't know, just people that make it look effortless like that. I will say, musically, I have a friend at the comedy club. I will say the most talented musical improviser I've ever met. His name's Ryan Citrino. You can find him on social media. But if it's a song style, he can play it. He can improvise a song. He was doing a whole series of videos where he would take requests of a song and then in a certain style. And I have never in my life, he would put it all in minor, like a positive upbeat song. He'd put in the minor key and just make it really sad and just stuff like that. That's amazing. And it's effortless for him.
Nice.
So he's amazing.
Cool. But yeah, some of the tenets of improv that we can talk about. The most obvious is yes and, right? This concept that when someone gives you something to work with, you don't turn it down, but you build upon it. Right.
It is an addition of information. So you hear what your partner says, you accept that is the reality, and then you add to it. Make it as real as your character can make it. So you coming into a scene and someone initiates and says something to you, like, there's a large oyster in my hand. Your worst option would be to say, no, there isn't. You're an insane person, because then you can't go anywhere.
But if I say, and it's got a gun.
Yeah, the oyster has a gun. So then that guy or that person in the scene has to do exactly what you just said, right? There's no freedom in that, and you've just dictated the terms of the entire scene. And yeah, you added information, but it was yours. You weren't reacting to what was given to you. Like, you were just controlling everything, which is a problem,
Yeah.
So yes and would be the 10 Commandments for improv for sure. It's the greatest hits.
I think the other one is understanding that not everything is going to be a hit. And learning to accept that there's going to be some stinkers.
I can't tell you how many times I've just gone out there and just explosive diarrhea of words all over the stage. And they weren't funny. And I left wondering, am I doing the right thing? I've already got a theater degree, so I probably am not. It's not a strong start, So here I am for drunk strangers on a Friday and Saturday night, and they didn't like anything I was giving them, or even worse, I had nothing to give them. But you know what? That's okay. That happens to everybody. You know, for every laugh-filled night Hugh Laurie had, there were probably plenty of nights where Hugh Laurie had nothing in the tank. You know, that's normal.
So, by the way, in Inebriated Shakespeare, are you guys really up there drunk?
Okay, so if you don't know what Casey's talking about, I'm part of a theater company called Inebriated Shakespeare, where we learn Shakespeare, genuinely learn the show. I was Hamlet in Hamlet this winter. And then we do the show with the added wrinkle that every person in the audience can buy any of the actors on stage shots of alcohol.
Oh!
And then we actually take those shots. And I think the most I've taken in a night was around 22.
Oh, no.
But I didn't. That wasn't the night I blacked out. The night I blacked out, we were doing shots of bourbon, and it was also our worst and weirdest show. I distinctly remember someone dressed in a banana costume in the corner. And I come to find out that this guy had auditioned for the company and never made it, so he came to all the shows in either a corn on the cob costume or a banana costume. And I don't remember that show, but I remember that.
Oh, no.
I think I saw a video. Apparently, I dealt with some homophobia in the front row. There was like some sexual tension between Hamlet and I believe it was Laertes at the moment. There was some sexual tension.
I mean,
there.
That's just in the show, Dylan.
Yeah, that's in the show. I just read the script right. So I kind of leaned into it, and I heard two girls in the front row go, "Gross." And I said, "Gross." And so there's video of me making out with my co-star for like far too long. I was like, man, we were really milking this moment that wasn't a moment for far too long. That's Inebriated Shakespeare, man. And a lot of that is improvised because you can't stay on track. So eventually someone is going to forget that they're doing Hamlet, and then it becomes whatever it becomes for the rest of the 90 minutes that you're up there. But we always make it home. I don't know.
I remember the night we did, and I was TD for the show. I wasn't on stage. That's technical director for you plebes in the audience.
Yeah, for you not in the know-how.
But I'm just kidding.
Yeah, of course.
But Dylan was playing one of the characters in the Reduced Shakespeare Company, The Complete Works of William Shakespeare, Abridged, Revised.
My favorite show.
It is the best show. And we got to the Hamlet part, and Dylan was the king. And he's supposed to go out in the audience and say, "Move it! Give me your seat. The king wants to seat his royal rump." And the person is obviously expected to get up.
Right.
The guy was with his girlfriend, and he seemed to make it like a machismo thing in his head, I think. 'Cause he was just like,
I think
no, man.
Can I say I think it was a first date? I think this was like I gotta prove, no matter what happens, she needs to go on a second date with me. So anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you were taking over.
Yeah, I was letting you finish.
Oh, no. But yeah, Dylan, from my spot in the light booth, I'm just like, oh, no. And I just, one of my favorite, because I can't hear Dylan being like, "Come on, man, just go with it." And he's like, "No." And Dylan just like takes his hat and throws it. Takes the guy's hat off of his head and throws it across the theater. And when the guy gets up, Dylan's like, "Yeah, go get your hat. No, it's my seat."
Chase your hat, bro. I made a grown man chase his hat. That was a good time. And that was improvised, guys. Mm-hmm. That was off the dome. I probably would have done it in no other context than in the middle of the show, because people are forgiving when you're an actor and you're playing a quote unquote, we're going to put that in big quotes, swish 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 character. I was so mad. I was like, "Dude, just move." And he was like, "I'm a king." And I was like, "Well, this king..."
Oh, he did say that.
He did say, "I'm a king." So I threw his hat, and then I think I sat on him. I forget what I did, but I know I threw his hat before I went back on stage, and I was like, "This feels good." This feels great.
That was Dylan's Hamilton moment.
That was. I took my shot.
Have you watched it yet?
I have not.
On the Disney Pluses?
I've listened to the soundtrack a lot because my wife is a Broadway fanatic. But I have not seen the show. I have heard a lot of good things, and I've heard one bad thing about it from someone who is very contrary to popular trends. You can hear them on my podcast. Charlie is very contrary.
Oh, man.
He has a very hot Hamilton take that I will not repeat here, but you can catch that in our latest episode.
Is it that the main character is actually Elizabeth Hamilton? Because that's true.
No, it's not that, but that's actually interesting. His take just seems like an angry person trying to make people mad at him.
That's fair. That's a lot of Twitter.
Well, he's been banned once from Twitter. Oh, speaking of Twitter, do you want to hear the story about the feds showing up at my house?
Oh, yeah, Dillon was telling me about this beforehand, and we are so off topic for being 45 minutes in, but I want to know about this.
On. We'll get on track after this story, I promise. So I was on Twitter, the place where all good ideas go, and it was right before protesting started for George Floyd, and I was reading news because you can't not and be a responsible person, and I was reading about Betsy DeVos and how she has made some horrible decisions concerning education, and she's very clearly a rich person who is in a position she doesn't belong in, doing a job that she's underqualified for because the president likes her money. That's literally why she's in there. And she made some bad decisions concerning the fall, or just school moving forward, and how we go about prosecuting sexual predators. It's just bad. And I went on Twitter, and I like to escalate bits to a bad place just because I can. It's funny for me to imagine the one guy at a riot not understanding that they're not out to murder people, if that makes sense. Like, that's funny to me. It's like, we're burning and doing anything, we're just destroying this town, and the one guy's like, yeah, and murdering, and they're like, no, that's the one thing we're not doing. And so that's the track I took. Is I essentially tweeted, hey, when do we go about unlifing this person, and so I didn't think anything of it. It was 2 weeks before I got a knock on my door around lunchtime, and outside there were 2 federal marshals, 2 sheriffs, or 1 sheriff's department, and 1 FBI agent, and they all were like, hey, can we talk to you? And I was like, oh no, initiative. They found out I smoked weed in middle school, so now here they are, my ticket finally come.
They learned about our commune in college.
Yeah, they found out I lived in a haunted house. Hold on 1 second. Okay, are you okay? I'm sorry. Do you want mine?
Your crust, yes.
I'm sorry.
My crust.
Okay. You okay?
I can lead up to a certain point, though, because then it burns.
All right. I'm sorry.
This is marriage, friends. It's true on my end, too.
Don't eat your crust, eat my crust.
I'm going to eat my crust, too.
No, but I want your crust. It's what I ordered.
Well, cool. I'm glad this derailed for that. Thank you. I'm not giving you... I don't know why this is an issue.
Dylan, yes and.
I want the garlic crust.
Oh my...
You ordered Cajun crust. You can have my Cajun crust.
I'm on the internet.
I don't care. This is how marriage works. I want your crust.
Okay, fine.
Yes and, Dylan. Yes and.
You can have my crust. Can you also not be like this later?
No.
Oh my god. Okay, I
I
understand this. Your world is crumbling. I understand. I'm so sorry. Not eat the crusts. You are so much. You are so extra. Go downstairs. Jeez. That's my wife.
I'm so happy.
She's just the best. So they come inside and federal marshal, they send this really nice guy to talk to me, but everything, he sounds like Sheev Palpatine is how he sounds, because he's saying really bad things in a really nice tone, and it's upsetting. So basically, it boiled down to, they said, "Do you know why we're here?" I said, "No." They said, "Because of Twitter." And I said, "Oh no, not that tweet." And they said, "Yeah, that tweet." And then the federal marshal said, "I don't agree with your stance that she doesn't deserve her job. So what do you think you should do about that tweet?" And I said, "I felt like I was in the principal's office, man." I said, "I don't know, delete it." And he said, "Yeah, we would never tell you that you had to delete it, but you definitely should. Also, if somebody does hurt her, you're going to go to jail for it." And
they told you that?
Yeah, they told me that I'd go to prison if something happened to her. And then they asked if I was on any mental health medication. I am, so I told them. And they said, now that they implied that makes me unstable. And then they asked if I had a gun. And I said no, and they said, "Are you sure you don't have an open carry permit?" And I wanted to be like, that's not the same thing as having a gun. But also, no, I don't have a gun. And then on the way out, the sheriff's office guy, this portly, bald, short fella, in full tactical gear, I might add, he came in like he was doing a drug bust of some kind, and was like, "You should come take one of our citizens re-education classes. Come see what we're really about." And I was like, "No thanks, man. I don't need to see your slideshow about how cool you think cops are."
They called it that?
Citizens re-education class. Yeah.
Guys. Anyways.
Anyway, we're going to make superheroes tonight to fight against the evils of police.
We're going to make super cops. No, we're not.
We're going to make super cops.
All right. I mean, what are police except super cops? Or, what are superheroes except super cops?
Well, see, that is another interesting question, is my love of superheroes. Oh no, have I secretly... whatever. I like superheroes. They're vigilantes. They're technically illegal. Unless they work for a government agency, a la Taskmaster, who was a mercenary.
Part of me feels like it's time for Marvel to do another Civil War art. I think it's time for Marvel Civil War 3. Yeah. And I think that it would be Steve Rogers and Frank Castle on opposite sides.
Steve Rogers and Frank Castle. That is an interesting take.
Like, I could see Frank Castle being like, and maybe this is a misunderstanding of on my part of the way Steve Rogers' philosophy works in the comics, but I could see Frank Castle being like, all this peaceful stuff only goes so far, Cap. It's time to do things my way.
Yeah, that would be a good ideological conflict. Steve is all about personal freedoms and liberties not being trampled on, and Frank is all about if he believes you're trash, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
he will come for you.
But like,
so that would would work. Yeah,
I saw.
No, you're good. That would work.
One particularly compelling comic book panel I saw the other day was Miles Morales dressed to go to a protest and him arguing with his father. And I don't know if you've heard this, but there's been some talk recently about, one, retconning Jefferson Davis's name as Miles Morales' dad, and also having an arc where he quits the police force.
Yeah.
Which would be interesting.
Yeah, it would.
But, yeah, and then another one I saw was Punisher, like, stopping some cops and who came to, like, be his followers and being like, if you're looking for someone to follow, go see Steve Rogers. He's got room to help make men better. You don't want me as a hero. And I've always thought it was interesting how, like, how the Punisher looks up to Captain America, and at the same time Steve Rogers hates Frank Castle.
Well, they're both soldiers, right?
Yeah.
So I can see Frank having some jealousy tied with respect.
Yeah.
That makes for... Because I think Frank would be the first to admit he's a broken man.
Yeah.
He wants to die. The fact that he hasn't died and been gone. I know he's an interesting character, but I think the best arc for him ends in his death.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that he's had such a longevity and he's been adopted by the worst people, because he was never meant to be someone to idolize. He was always meant to be a warning about the dangers of like how we treat veterans in this country. You know, they give up their lives to go do a bunch of stuff that they may not even believe in, and then they come back broken and wounded, and instead of helping them, we just kind of shuffle them off to die.
Dylan, I'm so glad we agree on the false idolization of Frank Castle. We're like Joker and Harley in the way we get along.
Oh God, no, why would you do that? Damaged couple, damaged anti-hero. No,
I'm glad that's turning around.
I
love the new Harley Quinn cartoon.
It's pretty good. It's sometimes a hard watch for me because it feels very pandery. But fair. I felt that way when Disney bought Marvel, because it started with Avengers Age of Ultron. I was like, oh no, Disney has saturated all the colors and the violence is less impactful. Oh no, Disney has their
I just remember that
hands.
That 2000s pop rock intro to that Earth's Mightiest Heroes show.
Oh, Forever Fight as One.
Yeah.
Avengers Assemble. Yeah. Watched all that on Disney Plus.
Is Disney gonna sue us for saying that phrase?
No. They're notoriously super easygoing on people talking about how much they love the mouse on air.
Oh man. But anyways, let's actually look at this game. Right. I have it pulled up. Yeah. I have it pulled up for the audience, Dylan. I know you have the PDF as well. If you want to read along with me, or I can just kind of tell you where we're at.
Okay.
Whichever you prefer. First off, it's just the cover, which I love.
It looks like it was drawn by whoever drew Invincible, which is one of my favorite comic book series of all time. Robert Kirkman's one of his first series. It's basically like if Superman or Goku's father, well, it is actually more like Goku's brother and father are technically villains, from Earth's perspective. Mm-hmm. So Invincible works that way as well, but it's more Superman-y. But yeah, it's a gorgeous cover.
Yeah, and the heroes here, I love that these are like archetypal heroes for each of the character playbooks that you can use.
Yeah,
right here for you, and we see them throughout the book. These are our hero archetypes that we will get to use.
Seeing the Bull, the Transformed, the Legacy, whoever the Sorcerer.
I think that's the Doomed.
The Doomed, got it.
And then on the next we have the Janus, the
Two-Face. Yeah.
I forget the name, the Delinquent, the Outsider. And yeah. Just a cool cover.
It's a very cool cover.
We have a bit of a text blast here to give us a sense of the game. A giant robot is smashing down Main Street. Your best friend tried to kiss you. Your mom thinks your grades need work. Your mentor thinks your team is bringing you down. Oh, and your costume is ripped. That's just Spider-Man. Just another day in Halcyon City.
Also, it's a great Bowling for Soup song. Can you not hear that? I hear it as a Bowling for Soup song. A giant robot is smashing down Main Street. Your best friend tried to kiss you.
Oh, it's definitely it's going to be on Phineas and Ferb next week.
Oh, for sure.
Masks, a New Generation is a superhero role-playing game in which a team of young heroes fights villains, saves lives, and tries to figure out who they are. Noble Paragons, Dark Avengers, or regular kids, all against the backdrop of Halcyon City, the greatest city in the world.
Greatest city in the world.
In the greatest city in the world. Man, I'm trying to get sued tonight. Bring it.
You're really going for it. Like, you can allude to things and then make it up on your own, but you can't just outright do the thing.
Then we have the two pieces of art kind of put together. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. And the heroes are original, but you can still tell who they're alluding to. Minus maybe the Janus, who is just female Spider-Man, but green.
Yeah, it looks like the ultimate Spider-Woman.
Yeah.
Jessica Drew. Yeah. Which, holy crap, way to make the Clone Saga weirder, Brian Michael Bendis. Anywho.
Let's look at who made this game. Design, development, and writing by Brendan Conway, who is the person who usually gets tweeted at about this game. He seems to be kind of the face of the game. Developmental. Okay. I don't know if any of these people are comic book people, Dylan. Maybe you'd know.
I don't recognize any of these names. Just seems like a labor of love from some real comic book lovers.
If I had to guess if any of them would be comic book people, it would either be the illustrator or the layout artists.
Yes,
those are the two things that I would see them pulling someone from the comic book industry.
Yeah, for sure. Like looking at the illustrations, they are very good, but I can tell this is someone who may not work for a bigger publisher. Maybe I'm reading into that, but just some of the layouts as we go on, I'm like, oh, this is really good, and I can see this person working for someone like Image or Oni Press or something like that one day.
It would be someone smaller. It wouldn't be DC or Marvel, I don't think. This is not their style.
No, because they've got to be really talented so that they can poach them from doing their own things. Although people like Jonathan Hickman do everything, so it's really fine. I just am like really anti-corporation right now. I
feel that.
Why.
I feel that. We have a little bit of information on the Apocalypse engine. So you might not be familiar with this, Dylan. This game uses a system called Powered by the Apocalypse, which sounds comic booky, but it's actually just a gaming system for tabletop games. There's a lot of games that use the Apocalypse World system. Apocalypse World being the first game that it showed up in, the ones that made the game. From Vincent Baker and Lumpley Games. Powered by the Apocalypse games use the same rules with the addition of these playbooks, which are archetypal character sheets that you don't really have to do a lot of mechanical editing to your changes or flavor.
That's for the cool. Most part. I like that.
So this game is
a very easy game to jump in on. This is not. This is not as intimidating as other tabletop RPGs. I love that.
PBTA is really easy to get into, I think. And there's a bunch of them. So you can learn one system, and by learning that one system, you have a lot of games to go to.
Wonderful.
You have this one. You have Monster Hearts, where you play high schoolers that are secretly monsters, like werewolves and stuff. Cool. It's like a teenage werewolf type of game.
Very cool.
There's one Megan and I read on stream recently called Fusions, which is a Steven Universe adaptation.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Big fan of Steven Universe.
Same. There's a bunch of these, and you can find a lot of them on itch.io from just indie publishers who are trying to get their start. Nice. They use a little bit from Mutants and Masterminds, which is a very heavily Marvel-inspired game, including Aegis, which is like the government agency that it's S.H.I.E.L.D.
Your S.H.I.E.L.D. or your Argus or your Checkmate.
Yeah, exactly. Just table of contents. We can kind of breeze through that. I love this piece of art. I'm going to say that every time because it's all so good.
It reminds me so much of Impulse in Young Justice. Not the TV show, but the comics, because just the excitement on this young hero's face reminds me how much Bart Allen really wanted to be a superhero. That's so cool.
You got that poster of someone behind him wearing the same Domino mask?
Yeah.
You know he got that Domino mask because it looks like his favorite heroes.
Exactly why that guy made it. I feel like this person might be a cosplayer.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
A cosplaying superhero would be so good. Oh man.
Do you want to read the preface, Dylan?
Yeah. The preface. What is Masks? When you play Masks, you and your friends tell a story, almost as if you're writing a comic together, each of you taking on the roles of the main characters in the story. Actual play is like a conversation, with you and your friends talking about those characters, what they do, and what happens. You're each co-authors and readers. You get to guide where the story goes, and you get to be excited when it goes somewhere you never expected. Unlike a regular comic book, Masks has rules that take you places you didn't expect, keep things exciting and surprising, and guide you through what to say and when. So when you fling a card at the T-Rex, instead of just saying what happens, the rules jump in and help fill in the next step. Oh, I like the title of this next section, Tales to Astonish. Oh man, that's great. In addition to the story itself, Masks is about awesome, over the top superheroic shenanigans. And that kind of superhero stuff is just damn fun. Ridiculous? Sure. A bit stupid from time to time? Yeah, totally. But damn fun? Without a doubt. What other stories give you time travelers, sorcerers, mutants, aliens, and some guy with a bow all on the same team? Nice Avengers 2 shout out. That's great.
I love that.
That is a really good reference. Masks is first and foremost about a team of young superheroes. Their friends, rivals, love interests, allies, and always teammates, joint stars of their comic and superheroes. They're young. They've got abilities that make them special. They wear costumes, they use code names, they save people, and they do it together. They're growing up in Halcyon City, a place with plenty of older supers who provide an endless clamor of voices telling them who to be. And these young heroes are all trying to figure out their own way.
I think that's the most important paragraph from this part. Especially the always teammates. Joint stars of their own comic.
Joint stars of their own comic.
I think that's the best way to think of this game.
It is. It's important to not take over, and truly that learning your role in a team. Oh man, that's great. I love that. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, and I'll take over at Halcyon City.
Okay. All of these pieces are key. You might have an awesome story idea about the premier team of superheroes, or a crazy group of misfits on a spaceship, or genetic superhumans fighting to protect a world that hates or fears them, X-Men. But Masks, as it's presented in this book, isn't written for those stories. You'll find pieces of those tales, but the core of this game is different. Did you say after Halcyon City?
Yeah, I got caught with pizza.
Oh no.
Sorry. Alright, so we got the preface done. Now on to Halcyon City. I want to preface this by saying, don't feel like you have to use Halcyon City, but this book provides you a very good, already built world to play in.
Yes, it does.
You have your Gotham if you want it. You don't have to, but it's definitely there for you. And they do a great job of fleshing it out. Halcyon City is a massive, bustling megalopolis. Countless people from countless cultures and walks of life populate this great city. It's a contradictory and wonderful combination of darkness and light, crime and heroism, corruption and hope, past mistakes and the promises of change. It's always been the city of tomorrow and yesterday, and that's never been more true than today. So it's very much like it's the every city, same as Metropolis, Gotham, Central City. Yep. Those things are everywhere and all things at once. Halcyon is the focal point of the superpowered extra-normal world. The city's always had more than its share of strange heroes and goings-on, but since the 30s, it's played home to more superhumans and their kin than any other place on Earth. And the city has evolved to fit its population. Construction crews work at ridiculous speeds to repair the damage done by superhuman brawls. Halcyon hosts the headquarters of Aegis, the Advanced Expert Group for Intervention and Security, an elite government agency that arose specifically to deal with superhumans among other weird, secret, and superhuman-oriented organizations. Over the course of 80 years or so, Halcyon City has seen 3 relatively distinct generations of superheroes rise and fall. These generations are colloquially known as the Gold Generation, the Silver Generation, and the Bronze Generation. And now there's a new generation rising, the children of other superheroes or trainees of prior generations, or brand new superpowered individuals, all trying to figure out who they are in the midst of Halcyon City's own special brand of wonder and insanity. Finding yourself, we're going to kind of skip that, or I'll talk about it kind of briefly. Powered by the Apocalypse games typically give you 3 objectives that you want to go for as you play the game. One of which is figuring out who your character is. It specifically points out that this game is about teenagers who haven't yet really discovered their identity. Yeah. And you're trying to see them through that process of learning, who am I? Mm-hmm. Especially in a world where the community and society has already decided what a hero is. Your character is struggling to redefine that in the way they want it to be, and not be judged by a past generation.
That's such a powerful thing. I think that's why I've always gravitated to younger heroes, like teen heroes, because as an artist, I do feel that I find myself doing that often. Is like, I have all these influences and all these teachers, but what am I trying to say? Still, even now, as I'm almost 30, and I'm still thinking like, what am I trying to say as an artist? What's my voice? What is my identity in this crazy patchwork quilt, that we're building together?
Yeah,
I love that.
Playing to find out. This basically says, I'll read this first bit because it's super important. There may be times while playing Masks when you say, oh, I know exactly what happens next. You feel like you have the best possible idea for a stream of events to take your character to some interesting place, and you just want to say what those are. Don't do that. The characters in Masks don't really know where they belong, where they'll end up, or who they'll become, and you don't either. This is a story of uncertainty and discovery. Don't cheat yourself out of that excitement by planning the next dramatic arc in detail. The mechanics in Masks will push you in new and different directions, taking you places you wouldn't have expected. So much of the fun of Masks lies in the surprise of events. Surprise of finding out what happens, who the characters are becoming without knowing in advance. Commit yourself to that uncertainty. You'll be glad you did. Very cool. And I think that's good advice for gaming in general. Maybe good just philosophical advice? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not qualified for that.
No, but as unlicensed professionals, unlicensed amateurs who like to paint with a broad brush, that's pretty good life advice.
I need that Brian David Gilbert graphic that says, I am not a licensed financial advisor.
Either Sonic is a god, or he killed God.
I have no fucking idea why this sphere is so powerful.
God, Unraveled is amazing. Oh,
that's what I hope to
Brian
be.
David Gilbert on Polygon, man.
The next bit just gives us some media sources if we want inspiration. Dylan, tell us if anything's missing here. We have Young Justice, the American animated TV show by Brian Vietti and Greg Weisman. Young Avengers,
that's pretty good.
Volume 1 by Alan Heinberg and Jim Cheung, and Volume 2 by Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey. I'm not familiar with that one. Avengers Academy by Christo Gage and Mike McCone. Runaways.
I'd skip that one. Avengers Academy is not good. Anyway, go ahead.
Avengers Academy. I won't keep reading the names. Runaways.
Go for it,
by Brian K. Vaughan and Adrian Alfona. Teen Titans,
Beautiful.
The original Cartoon Network show, as well as the original Mark Wolfman comics and Geoff Johns issues. Yep. Miss Marvel, I love Miss Marvel, by G. Willow Wilson and Adrian Alfona. And Wolverine and the X-Men by Jason Aaron and Chris Bacalo.
Yeah, Young Justice, you can read the Peter David series of comics that he wrote in the 90s is a really good way to see specifically Robin, Superboy, and Impulse try and be their own rebel, like punk rock versions of heroes. Read Invincible and Ultimate Spider-Man by Brian Michael Bendis. That is all about Peter Parker at around 16 years old. So it's a great teen trying to figure out who Spider-Man is.
Does Great Lakes Avengers, they're pretty young, aren't they? What about
Which
that
ones?
one? The Great Lakes Avengers? Aren't they all pretty young?
With the reboot, they were like Squirrel Girl. You could read Squirrel Girl. She's a teenager. That's worth looking into. Invincible's all about teen heroes. Don't be afraid to look outside Marvel and DC. There's a lot of other really good.
The 90s to 2000s Static Shock cartoon.
Yeah, definitely check that out.
I love that show. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's really good.
I really love Gear.
Oh, you could check out Superman and the Legion of Superheroes that came on the WB. Mm-hmm. That's a really good teen hero show.
Oh, not talk about America, My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia is amazing.
For real.
That is only about teen heroes.
It's only about teen heroes who are specifically trying to shape their identity. And the main character specifically learning to stop trying to be his hero.
And be his own person.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, My Hero Academia ought to be on this.
Yeah.
For sure.
This game predates the show, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. What you'll need, you need dice, the playbooks, pen and paper, and additional materials. There is a free version of this with less of the rules if you can't afford to buy it. This is currently on sale for $12. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Why masks? I think this is interesting. The name of the game is Masks. There's a rules piece in the game called Pierce the Mask. The chapter including the playbooks is called The Masks. Why such an emphasis on masks? On one level, the game is about superheroes, and the association of masks with those costume super people is pretty well ingrained, thanks to the nearly a century of such stories. But on another level, the game is about appearances, image, and perception. It's about the conflict between what you seem to be and what you actually are. Everybody wears a mask. Everyone's fitting into some kind of image or mold, playing some kind of role. Everyone has a mask to pierce, even if they're not wearing anything on their face. The playbooks you choose, the appearances of your characters, their secret identities, and their superhero names, all masks of one form or another. Embrace masks, revel in putting them on, taking them off, and trying new ones on, and abandoning old ones.
Wow, that's awesome.
Gorgeous piece of art for our sorcerer, the Tempest.
That's a superhero landing. Look at that.
All right. Yeah, the outsider, our Miss Martian.
Yep.
So here we get into Halcyon City. I don't feel like we have to read all of this.
No.
It gives
if you want to know lore, you can look at this section. Right?
For a brief, we learn that Halcyon City, the world in the book, their first superhero was Maggie McIntyre, also known as Flying Freedom, who started the golden age of superheroes. She died fighting a giant blimp, piloted by her nemesis. What's the name of this? Captain Coldheart.
Captain Coldheart. Yeah.
It's so what it is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Working its way up to Halcyon today, we have a statue of Flying Freedom, who seems to be like some combination of Captain Marvel and Superman.
Yep, it's got that flair for sure.
We go on the greatest confluence of heroes, and then the generations, which I do want to talk about this because if we're talking about a love letter to superheroes, the way they did the generations,
the ages of comics.
Yeah. So we have the golden generation of superheroes, who it says started in the 30s and went for a while. It gives us some names: Flying Freedom, Haunt, Champion, Golden Girl, Bryce Brilliant, and Cast Iron Man.
Cast Iron Man. I hope it's just not a dude wielding skillets. That's hilarious.
I think it's Colossus, basically, is what I imagine.
that makes sense, but I like
really
to
American.
A dude wielding cornbread full skillets.
It's the guy. It's the box character from PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but with two skillets, just deflecting bullets.
Two skillets. Oh, bam!
Daddy wants cornbread.
Daddy hungry. Daddy wants cornbread.
It points out that these heroes were actually not that powerful. They mostly had simple powers. They were corny and dealt with not that big of threats. A lot of their threats were powerful criminals, unscrupulous corporate fat cats, and corrupt politicians. These heroes had
are your Green Hornet types.
Yeah, these heroes had a direct and real effect on the city's mundane existence. Periodically, there'd be a big monster or something bad happen, like real danger, but they were rare. There were countless non-violent costume criminals stealing priceless artifacts and jewels or playing pranks on public officials. What's Mark Hamill's The Prankster? Is that it?
Yeah, the Trickster.
The Trickster. Yeah, so that.
Yeah.
Basically Flash villains.
Yeah, a lot of Flash villains.
Roy G. Bigelow.
A lot of early Batman villains.
Yeah. The one that made...
Roy G. Bigelow is such a dumb name. And I love it so much. Oh, it's so dumb.
Oh, man.
Hey, Marty, we got to put a new villain. Hey, we got a guy. I don't know. He's wearing a sweater. How many colors is it? All the ones? All the colors.
Did you just make Bill Cosby a supervillain before... Oh, man.
I don't know. What's his name? Roy. Okay, what's his powers? Rainbows? Please tell me the rest of his name isn't G. Bivolo. How did you get that the first time? Without even trying.
Oh, man. So the Golden Generation did deal with some civil issues, right? They had struggles of women and minority heroes often being degraded and insulted and ignored. They had to fight for every ounce of respect they could get. The entire city was filled with the prejudice and bigoted ideas of that area, while the conflict between Champion and the pugilistic Deadly Devil might have been simpler than those faced by later generations. Champion's struggle as a homosexual man and public figure in the 1940s was far from simple. If you want to look at some inspiration for that, I've been really impressed with the way they handled Iceman's character as of like the past decade.
Oh yeah, they have completely reinvented Bobby Drake in a very interesting way.
That one where his like teenage self, he ends up talking with his like time traveled self, and his kid form is like, "Why are you still doing this to yourself?" is really interesting.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, this makes me think a lot of that one episode of the Justice League cartoon where they go in the comic book world and they meet.
Yeah, the one that's created by the mutant guy with the big head.
Yeah, that's what that
Tom Turbine and Yeah,
that makes me think of that. Those were supposed to be like silly versions of the Golden Age heroes.
Yeah, they were comic books that Green Lantern read when he was a boy.
Most of the Golden Generation are either gone or retired. There are those who are still either trying to reclaim their lost glory or success. The Scarlet Songbird wants nothing more than to be a relevant supercriminal again. Or they're the most powerful, most impressive, and most enduring members of this whole generation. Have you seen The Impossibles or whatever it is that was on Hulu? That wasn't the name of the show. It's a cartoon.
The Awesomes?
Yes, The Awesomes.
And that was Seth Meyers, the main character, right?
Yes.
I watched. Okay, so when we were rooming together, I watched it when you watched it. That's the only time I saw it.
I liked it. But somehow that makes me think of that.
It was definitely Seth Meyers' voice. That's what I remember most.
Yeah.
That definitely had Seth Meyers in it. That's all I remember.
We go from the Golden Generation to the Silver.
Okay.
This is probably the one...
Okay, so one thing I've never liked about the naming of the ages of comics is you degrade in value, like how we value gold and silver. But when we read this description,
it's
the powers, like things get exponentially more powerful and more dire, right?
Yeah, is that true to comic book history?
Yeah.
Is this basically true?
Yeah, like this is what happens. I mean, you can follow it. When superhero comics started, they were just gangbusters. Like Superman was just beating up gangsters.
Did this have to do with the
Comics Code
Authority?
Every now and then Lex Luthor would invent a machine that would spit out real dangerous gas, and he'd be like, "No, don't do that," and then he'd smash it and run away.
Did this have to do with the CCA going out?
Yeah. The Comic Book Code Authority really kind of, especially in the 50s and 60s, you had the Red Scare, right? So that's why that even exists, is because of McCarthyism.
All right. So the Silver Generation are the most powerful generation. They're ridiculous. Yeah. We have a Silver Surfer knockoff. I don't say that insultingly, by the way. I love the name. Silver Spark, who wields the Silver Spark. Or Silver Savior, who wields the Silver Spark, is a cosmic hero. He deals with extra-dimensional problems. Dr. Infinity, they're dealing with like Galactus-level threats, to give a real comic book villain. Things that could actually end the world. The first thing that comes to my mind is the Fantastic Four as being a big part of this generation.
Yeah, they would have been. For sure. This would have been when they first reinvented Superman to have whatever power was most convenient.
When he's like bench pressing the weight of the planet.
Yeah. I read one from the set. Well, we're not there yet, but in the 70s where he raced the Flash, and they said he had super balance. That's a weird power to just give somebody.
Okay.
Actually, it was super sliding. It wasn't even balance. It was super sliding. They were on ice, and Flash was sliding on the ice, and Superman was like, "Good thing I'm using my super slide." And I was like, "That's not a power."
What kind of anime bullshit?
yeah, with your power-ups. Come on.
So these impressive, explosive heroes tended to like do a lot of damage. It would be normal for them to level city blocks. Examples. They also teamed up a lot. We have teams such as the Exemplars, the Silver Saviors, and the Amazing Eight. also are their origins in this generation. These heroes they originally took overtly political roles, but started to phase them out because their problems were too big to deal with the petty mortal crap.
Yeah.
And some of them even became kind of corrupt, it seems.
Yeah, it looks like it.
The Silver Generation is largely still around and in power, but they're reaching the end of their time. Many are looking into retirement of some kind, and many of them are looking for proteges to pass their power on to, such as the Silver Savior picking a hero to give part of the Silver Spark to.
Okay, Super Boomer. Right? Is that relevant? Oh, man.
Okay. We have a little sidebar about like the debate over whether or not superheroes are even legal in Halcyon City.
Oh, yeah.
Check out Marvel Civil War for more on that.
Yeah.
Then we get to the... You want to do the Bronze Generation?
Yeah. Oh, no, I burped directly into the mic. The one thing I
no
said I wouldn't do.
Don't give it away for free, Dylan.
I know, we got to make that Patreon money first. The Bronze Generation. These are heroes born from the 70s to 80s. So, do you want an overview or read it?
Up to you.
Okay. So, this is your Bronze heroes. Let's see. These, so everybody important agrees. Oh, no, go back down. I got to read it. Agrees. Most superologists, historians, and sociologists agree on a single moment as the transition point from the Silver Generation to something new, something more complicated and ambiguous. The Bronze Generation. So this in comic book history would be when people really started experimenting with form, right? It's not the 90s experimentation, but it would have given rise to like your Alan Moores, right? Let's see. A telepath known as Silence. Oh, Quintessence, a younger hero acting within the style of the Silver Generation, was under threat by his greatest foe, a telepath known as Silence. Good spelling. Oh, targeted Quintessence in his real life as Niall Collins, publicly abducting and threatening Niall's best friend, a young man named Sam Reed. Oh, man. So this is hitting the nitty gritty. This is hitting your Dark Knights Returns. You're killing jokes. This is what this is. Oh, this is your Green Lantern's girlfriend stuffed in a refrigerator era. Oh, man. The death of Sam Reed started a wave of introspection among the younger generation, forcing them to take a harder look at the failures of their parents and mentors. This would be your Robins leaving and becoming Nightwing. They saw... Can you scroll down for me, please? They saw that the Silver Generation often seemed more focused on grand gestures than real change. Boy, I feel that on a spiritual level. What's more, the Silver Generation still clung to power, held their positions of dominance over the city and the world, and this new generation had little to no room to call their own. Yep, young heroes changed identities. There's your Nightwing. New heroes rose up. Sword-wielding, murderous vigilante Guillotine, patriotic and politically active Blue Eagle, adventuresome, dimension-hopping Dr. Sharon Supreme, superpowered government spy Agent Caldwell Wing, a.k.a. SOAR. This is the doubt era. This is when people doubted that exceptionalism. They opened doors into gritty places. The gritty 80s. Gotta love it.
Two heroes that
90s.
come to mind are Rorschach and Jessica Jones.
Yep. And heading out of the Bronze Generation, they're very present and active. So the Silver Generation still sits in power. The Bronze have found their own places of power. They're ready to seize the reins as the Boomers move into obsolescence and retirement. Now we move into the extreme 90s.
Are we going to call the Silver Generation the Boomer Generation for the rest of the stream?
Yeah, they're the Boomer
I'm here
generation.
for it.
I mean, look at... That's what they are.
Silver Savior, also known as Hillary Clinton. I don't know. People like to talk about Hillary Clinton, whether they like her or hate her. So, I'm gonna get on a watch list.
There you go.
Dylan, you're already on. I am on one because you're on here. Apparently, the modern generation from the 90s to today. Hey guys, we can still be heroes.
Yeah, we can do this.
The newest generation of superheroes, most of them still quite young, come from a unique place. They live in a world well used to the idea of superhuman individuals. Dinosaurs stomping down Main Street is just a thing that happens sometimes. Invading aliens and escaped products of a mad scientist are treated as somewhere between average problems of the city and tourist attractions. That's a little too real if I really think about it.
We're there.
We're like 2020, we got 14-year-olds that are like, oh, plague? Dope.
Oh, cool. The government's releasing footage of UFOs and admitting they exist. No big deal.
Sandstorm. Okay, yeah, that sounds like it'll be some great Instagram photos.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have a name yet, really. The name Modern Generation is a tentative placeholder. They haven't made their mark on the world. They haven't developed a strong identity yet, but Halcyon City is just waiting to see what they can do.
That's right.
Some members of the Modern Generation have made splashes, especially in the realm of celebrity and the internet. Like teen pop star turned villain Cygnus. Some have apprenticed themselves to older heroes, earning their names in the city at large as scions of the powers that be, like the Silver Ace, who wields a portion of the Silver Savior, Silver Spark.
Say that 8 times.
I will not. So
Silver
far,
Savior, Silver Spark. Silver Savior, Silver Spark.
So far, they've proved themselves a generation of greater hope and greater skepticism, somehow, than any other generation. They're aware of both the triumphs and the failings of those who came before them, in a way no other generation has been. They see the Gold Generation's nobility and all too easy oversight, the Silver Generation's power and success, but also their domineering attitudes, the Bronze Generation's frustration and search for alternatives, and ultimate failure to change anything significantly.
Jeez,
damn,
dude, did you have to make it so real? Good grief.
I'm in this picture and I don't want to be.
I know.
Damn, that's a call out.
Oh, yeah.
All of that history weighs on them as they try to determine who they want to be and what they can do. Maybe they want to change the world. Maybe they want to give up the fight and go for fame instead. Maybe they think the whole system needs fixing. Maybe they try to work within the rules. In all cases, they're finding their way, deciding exactly what they're going to be and what world they're going to make. The world awaits with trepidation and excitement to see what they will finally become.
Damn.
So good!
Yeah.
We're into heroing today.
Heroing today.
And these are kind of factions. It mentions that there are superhero teams, that some of them like mix Hollywood with their work and are kind of personalities on top of everything else. We get Aegis, which is our Argus / Shield / AIM at the same time of this like shady government agency that wants to control heroes. You could also look at the Hero Association from One Punch Man, might be of interest.
One Punch Man. One Punch!
One Punch! I can't do that scream. Not in this basement. Villains and crime. This is probably worth reading. Just as there are more heroes and villains than ever, there are more heroes than ever before. There are more villains and super criminals than there are today. There have never been more than there are today. They go hand in hand with the heroes, falling into the same generations and styles as their counterparts. The Golds were a bit cheesy and generally kind of tame. The Silver Generation villains were over the top and cosmically powered. Bronze Generation villains were intense and frightening. Modern Generation villains are still finding their own places in the world. Although many metahumans can make more money legitimately than they can through crime. I'm glad they said that, because I've always kind of wondered about that. That's not true for all of them, and many aren't just interested in the money in and of itself. They want the thrill of crime, or they can't stand the mundanity of regular work. Many of them are mercenaries, taking up dangerous work in exchange for tremendous pay, with no concern for the morality of their jobs. These criminals abound throughout the city, although they're not considered the greatest threats from the metahuman side of life. Supervillain is a term used with a bit of chagrin, as they feel outdated and useless, and used all the time. These aren't the people out to make money or rob banks. These are the people out there to end the city or take control over time itself. The term is applied unilaterally to extend from super scientists to time-traveling demigods, all of which Halcyon City has seen over the course of the past century. The heroes have defended the city well. The city's media and politicians may criticize any individual hero. The populace largely accepts this as a cycle of just the way things are, for better or worse. It's the new normal. More cool-ass art. Now we get into how to actually play this game. So that's all of our lore.
Yeah.
We have Halcyon City. I love the name. I've seen this change to Gale City. I've seen this change to Bastion City. I've seen a lot of like where people will just change the name of the city to make it feel a little more theirs, but keep the overall. And I think you do want to keep that like every city type of thing going on. I think that's almost a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
But change the name and like give it your own flavor. Is it coastal? Is it landlocked?
Yeah.
Is it in America? It doesn't have to be.
No.
So
having it be a port city opens you up to the rest of the world too.
Yeah.
So that's stuff you can think about if you're setting stuff in where you said it, you know.
So first and foremost, playing Masks is having a conversation. That means it's easy. You sit at the table. You sit at the table with dice and pencils and sheets of paper, and you talk with each other. For the most part, the conversation revolves around your characters. You say what they do and how they react. Since other players don't live in your head, you convey your character's thoughts, emotions, and feel. Thank you for saying this out loud. I don't know what your character's thinking. If they're afraid of, like, saying, like, my character gives you a look like they're afraid of you, that tells me something that I needed to know.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's good. I like that. Good advice. There are times in the conversation when you slip directly into your character's shoes, no longer narrating, but actually taking on your character's persona. You don't have to do this. Fun fact. You make the gestures your character makes. You say things your character says. Most people do this without thinking much about it. It's pretty natural to become your character when you're playing. To want what they want and fear the outcome at the dice at crucial moments. This is something they need to say, that you're going to want. A lot of people are going to want to role play their character directly. It is a role playing game. I always like to put an asterisk with this. Some players don't like acting, and that's okay.
Right.
Like, I've known people who love these kind of games, but talking in character makes them severely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Don't admonish your players for that, please.
No, please.
Some people will. They're like, well, that's not, like, I'm going to reward such and such because they were doing great role-playing tonight. But that looks different for everyone. Like, I get where you're coming from. Like, I get the desire to reward good playing, but keep in mind that everyone's coming from a different thing. Someone may not feel as comfortable. I've spent a lot of time on stage. I will dance for you in any way you like in a performative fashion. Not everyone feels that way.
No, they don't, and making them feel bad for that is shameful. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm. I'd be like,
let them enjoy the things they like.
It's like seeing Dillon at a party and being like, "Tell me a joke, funny man."
Oh God, please don't do that. Like, I'm already doing bits. Just listen, just hang out. It'll be a good time.
It's true.
Enjoy it too. Yeah, I love bits. You don't have to make me dance. I'm already wanting to dance. You know?
Yeah. There are times in the conversation where you slip directly into your character's shoes, no longer narrating, but actually taking on your character's persona.
Okay, I thought you were talking to me directly there, and I felt very attacked. But no, I know. I know now. Those are just what the rule book says. Hey, Dylan, sometimes you're going to slip directly into your character shoes, no longer narrating, but actually talking in your character persona.
Hey, Ghost Drummer. I don't know who you are, but welcome to the stream. We're looking at Masks, A New Generation, a game about young heroes trying to figure out who they are. I think they know you because they refer to you as Dilly.
That is someone I know. Who's doing this? I do that all the GHST drummer.
Ghost Drummer, I think is what it's supposed to be.
Oh, that makes more sense. Ghost GHST drummer. Who that be?
No, oh.
Who's that?
Alex from the gym. Hey, Alex from the gym. Nice to meet you. Hit that follow button, Alex from the gym. We're trying to get to 50 followers tonight.
There we go.
If you hit the follow button, Dylan will burp into the mic.
Oh man, I can't do it on. I'll try.
Oh man.
Alex from the gym. All right, cool.
Or maybe you should do some Jimmy stuff. Maybe it's like a push up for every follow.
Maybe I ought to do burpees for every follow because I'll do it. I'll set it up.
Are you still in the CrossFit?
Yeah, I still do it. I tried to not talk about it. Oh wow, we got a subscriber.
Yeah,
I tried. You brought it up.
I did bring it up. I cheated. Good job.
Now I'm like a deacon in the Church of CrossFit now. I coach.
You get some. Oh damn. You get some special points for the fact that someone brought CrossFit up in a conversation before you did, though, right?
Actually, yeah, I don't bring it up. I'm not proud that I do it.
I'm just playing.
I just like it.
Yeah. For those who like CrossFit, it's such a popular target. I can't help it.
It's easy. We know we're easy to pick on. That's fine. We're the idiots doing burpees in an unconditioned room. We're the dumbasses. It's fine. I get it. Some of us think we deserve to punish our bodies this way. I'm one of those people. It's fine.
Oh man.
I never thought I'd tie evangelical guilt to why I like hard workouts, but I sure did.
Go!
I deserve this. I deserve this.
Oh man.
Oh my god. If you don't get more followers for how funny we think we are, people are missing out.
We think we're funny enough that some people believe it.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, we have a fan.
Yeah.
Alex, I don't know. Is the fan you?
No, I think he means you have a fan at the gym.
Oh,
like a wind fan.
Oh, we have multiple fans. They do nothing. They do nothing other than remind you that you can sound like a scary monster if you stand behind them.
They like to remind you that the fans are working harder than you are. Get back to it.
Yeah, that's the way I deserve to be talked to.
You can use that in your training sessions, Dillon. I'll allow it.
Oh, man. I deserve to be talked to that way, Casey. Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna work out real hard now.
Oh, man. That's probably no, I'm not going to get into political talk. I was about to make a politician joke, but never mind. I had to stand like this close to what the New York mayor that was running for president. What's his name? Bloomberg. I had to take photos of him at a political event he held near Clarksville, and I was literally like this close to his face for 20 minutes, and that was severely uncomfortable.
Yeah, of course it was.
To get like, scary. I got some great photos from that.
I'm sure you did, but that's terrifying. I would want to do that.
Well, we got Panera Bread afterwards. It was great. Not with Bloomberg. Like his campaign manager bought lunch for all the press.
You and Michael Bloomberg got Panera Bread. Did you? Me and Andrew, we got the bread bowl soups. I got the broccoli cheddar. He got the Harvest medley soup.
Not soda though. That's not legal in New York.
That's true.
Oh man. Dillon, how do you feel about the talk about off topic again? Speaking of New York and curse you, Mayor Bloomberg, for your soda ban.
You realize by the time we get off this stream, we're not gonna have made it more than a half.
No, we're about to be fast forwarding through the book a little bit to get to the important parts.
I was gonna say, in order to make your time cap, we're gonna have to skip.
Dillon, we always go over on this show. I meant to tell you that. So far, Ruben has been the worst, but I've never ended the show on time. These people are my hostages. You will
You're
stay.
Gonna stay, and you're gonna like it.
Listen to me make funny talk. But yes.
Okay, what were you saying? What did I? You were asking me what I think about
speaking of soda bans in New York. What do you think about Brooklyn Nine-Nine thinking about having the crew quit the police force next season? That's been some talk.
That has been the talk.
If they go work for Patton Oswalt at the fire department, I'm for it.
that's kind of neat, right? Like that idea to make a show go on and enough people on a show feeling so strongly about a movement that they would be willing to leave what is a very good job and go in a very scary direction, which is to stand up for something you believe in. And I'm all for that. I also, part of me thinks, you could have not made them cops at the beginning. I know.
Yeah.
Hindsight is 2020 or whatever.
I think they did some things to point out the downsides of the police that helped.
They do. It's look, we know nobody's perfect. It's so hard to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll save this for a completely other stream. I was just curious if you'd heard about that, because I know you're a big fan of the show. I recently binged my way up to current.
I forget, after the first season, you kind of forget that they're cops, right?
Yeah.
And then you're just kind of like, oh man, I wonder what Peralta and the gang are doing this week at their office. Also, they have guns. That's really all it looks like, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted because I like the group. I don't necessarily.
I took to that show recommendation from you way better than I took to Friends. I hate that show.
Friends is trash. I know I bought the DVDs when we were doing community theater, but that's another instance of self-flagellation. I felt I deserved bad TV.
Dylan's life is one self-punishment to the next.
It really is. I'm trying to get out of hell and straight into heaven. You know what I mean? I'm just going straight.
Oh man,
straight going for gold.
Dylan's Inferno.
It's a very weird journey. And I passed the circle where they made the people watch the Friends trivia episode over and over and over until they plucked their own eyes out. But what they did not realize was as they plucked their eyes regrew and they were forced to watch it again.
Oh man. All right.
Yeah.
Back to games.
All right, back to this tabletop game.
Dadgummit.
Dadgummit, we're so far in the weeds.
Oh man. Framing scenes. Okay, so this is basically this is basically just saying that you want to frame the game in scenes. Like framing scenes means frame your game in scenes. That you take situations and it's like a contained scene. Like think about your favorite shows. Also think how panels of a comic book work.
Right.
When you're thinking about that, and think about how you can use that as inspiration on framing a situation. A lot of the games I've seen of this focus on we have a moment back at the team's hideout where it's a social situation, then they're called into action, then it's meanwhile back at the fortress of teen angst, and
it's shaped like an emo swoop haircut.
There's lots of punk rock posters. And everyone hates their dad.
So many. Every single one of them. Oh, man. It feels so comforting.
3 people are there because they stole a superhero's tires off their car.
Awesome.
There's a sign that says no crowbars.
That's so good.
Dark.
Dark. No. Oh my god, it's just Jason Todd's pictures of things. It's Jason Todd trigger warnings all around. And Damian Wayne has broken every single one of them in order. He's gone to each one. He's gone to the crowbar, he's gone to the no bloody chairs. He's